Welcome to worship with the Universalist Unitarian Church of Peoria. My name is Reverend Jennifer Innis. It is my great joy to be the minister with this congregation of people of all ages at all stages of life. This is a beloved community striving to live into its mission of embracing freedom, loving wholeheartedly, growing in mind, body, and spirit, and adding to the wholeness and the healing of the world. We welcome people of all ethnicities and races, sexual orientation, gender identities, social and economic situations, politics and abilities. We advocate for human rights and we strive to be good stewards of this earth. And as part of our understanding of relationship, we realize that we are part of a deep network of history and people and land. We know that this is the ancestral home of the Peoria people. They and other nations were here long before the first European settlers came down the Illinois River. So we honor the Peoria people as we have been asked to do. We take a moment during service and we recognize the folks, the Peoria people, who they were and for who they are today. And I think that's particularly notable in this time of year and this week leading up to Thanksgiving. I invite you to get to know them. Check out their posts on Facebook. They're based in Northeast Oklahoma. I want to thank folks for joining us in person and online. We recognize how valuable it is to gather together in person, to be with one another in all the ways that we can connect. So if this is your first time joining us or one of your first times, thank you for making the effort and taking a little chance to come into an established community and say hi. And you're welcome to come and join us for coffee and conversation after the service. Of course, please help us get to know you if you would. We have plenty of name tags. We have welcomers and ushers and greeters. And we love all the questions. No, really, we like all the questions. We don't tell you to be quiet for the questions. All right. Let me invite you to check your respective devices to see that they are in worship mode, either buzzy or silent. And if you need help, don't be shy. We have a lovely, generous tech ministry. So a few notes for today. We are still going through with for the rest of the month, a little bit of a food drive for Pleasant Valley Middle School. We're trying to boost the snacks and so on that they have available for their middle school children, and maybe even the children bring that home for their family a little bit. The SNAP benefits may be restarting, but children are hungry now. This is a phenomenon that children get hungry like now, not in a few weeks. Please fill up the shopping cart we have out in the foyer with kind of easy to open, easy to enjoy foods that the children can just bring home and get into themselves. If you want to just make a financial donation, we're doing a collection today as part of the soup lunch uh, for to help equip the outreach, the food outreach program that we have that provides food to about 36 families, 40 bags of food a week throughout the entire school year, so that the children, the students can take home something and make an easy to prepare dinner for the family and have some snacks in addition to that. Uh, this really is just such an amazing benefit, a really good opportunity and resource for these families. And with the food costs rising, it's getting more and more challenging. So let me invite you to if you want to make a financial donation, that's as fine as well. We have, as I said, our soup lunch is today, which is the major annual fundraiser for Pleasant Valley Middle School Food Outreach. So stay after the service, join us uh, in Fellowship Hall for a warm bit of nourishment provided by the wonderful members of the congregation. And we really want to appreciate your generosity and your interest in sustaining this ministry. This week, November 27th, is our Thanksgiving potluck dinner here at the church. The sign-up sheet is in the foyer. I know we've gone on to another page, which is fantastic. So sign up in there or send a note to the church office. Uh, we welcome help before, help after, food, drink, and so on. All the setup begins at noon. We have our meal at about 1 o'clock. Bring family, bring friends, bring neighbors, bring folks who just maybe need a place to go, even as last minute as that morning. That's also fine as well. All are welcome. I want to invite you to check your announcements after service and the weekly email. We have the newsletter coming out after Thanksgiving. We have a lot of different things happening in the first week of December. In particular, we just added a Blue Christmas Vespers on December 4th. That's Thursday, December 4th at 6:30. So I really want to invite folks to come and check that out as well. Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River. Please rise in body or spirit and join the singing. Jean? Thank you.
Good morning, my dear friends. This morning, we're going to hear the opening words by Reverend Ellie Kirkpatrick. And I particularly like them because the end of her discussion focuses on the unity and the relationship of people with each other. I think that's very important. How do we worship when the ashes of fascism rain down on its people? How do we worship when the enemy is you and me? And freedom falls at breakneck speed. Worship is courtship of hope and belonging, but hope's bound with justice, and trust is a must here. How do we worship when fear grips us tightly? When words do not capture the fight, fawn or flight need? Maybe just being here is enough. Maybe we don't need to be tough. Being together to weather the whirlwind is sometimes enough to know nothing is determined. Together we scream, together we rage, together we weep, and together we rise. We are the ties that arise from the ashes. We are the worship that comes from the masses. Join with our kindred when we can just cope. Together, our worship will recreate hope. Blessed be to all of you.
And I invite the Osoris family forward for our chalice lighting.
Just the two of us, nothing else to see. Chalice Lighting for Challenging Times by Lisa Doge. Why a flaming chalice? The question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing. A cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst. A cup of wine for celebration and dedication. The flame of truth. The fire of purification. Oil for anointing, healing. Out of chaos, fear, and horror. Thus was the symbol crafted a generation ago. So may it be for us in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and rage, and a light to warm our souls and guide us home.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. During our music for meditation, all are welcome to come forward and light candles and make a small light that acknowledges what is with you and within you. If you're online, I invite you to let these candles be for you. Let us now enter into our music for meditation. From Frederick Buechner, pay closest attention. Whenever you find tears in your eyes, especially unexpected tears, it is well to pay the closest attention. They're not only telling you something about the secret of who you are, but more often than not, God is speaking to you through them of the mystery where you have come from and is summoning you to where you should go next. This is the time for the sharing of joys and sorrows. I want to share a joy from our congregational meeting last week. Really appreciate everybody who was part of our social impact projects and process. And thank you to the congregation for approving all of them at the meeting last Sunday. It was we had a lot of conversation, a lot of energy. This is a start of new good things. There are sign-up sheets for each project in the foyer if you'd like to be involved or just learn more. We offer wishes for healing to Juanita Lamberson. She fell and broke her femur. So we certainly offer wishes for healing to Juanita and care for those who are caring for her. We offer condolences to Sandy Meskimen and the family and friends of Henry Curran. Henry died peacefully on Wednesday, November 19th, after a long decline due to Parkinson's. His memorial will be here on December 13th. The service will be at 11. There'll be visitation at 10:15, and a reception will follow the service. If you'd like to help, please contact the caring committee. They would appreciate it. And in our larger world, what is known as Thanksgiving and nationally recognized as such is known by Indigenous people of this land as a day of mourning. Before the Pilgrims arrived, nearly all of the Indigenous people had died from disease. This is why the land was so sparsely inhabited in 1620. And that is why there was space for the Pilgrims to settle. We give thanks for so much. There are so many reasons to be grateful, to enjoy, to savor. And the sorrow of what came before the Pilgrims arrived, what happened since, is still just beginning to be known. We hold all of these experiences in this circle. Let us share one more moment of quiet. Within us and among us, there are so many names and milestones, joys and sorrows. Our circle expands to hold all. I invite you to pause and breathe with me in this circle of care. Amen. Salam. Shalom. And blessed be. Now I invite Jesse Lachlan forward for our time for all ages.
Have you ever been mad? Really, really mad? You ever felt angry before? How does that feel? Think about it. Feels bad. Is it a gentle feeling? Not for me. Not for me. It's big. It's hard. I feel it everywhere. Where do you feel it? Anybody feel it in their tummy? Feel it in your chest? Sometimes I feel it in my hands, then I hide them. Sometimes feelings take over our whole body. When I'm feeling those big feelings, I have a hard time using my brain. It makes it really hard for me to think clearly, to think about what I should do, to think about what I could do. How can I feel this feeling of anger and do something good with it? If I push it down, pretend I'm not feeling it, it makes me feel bad. I feel sick and stuffed up. I need to get my anger out. There's lots of things I can do to get my anger out. Sometimes I can exercise. Anybody like to exercise when they're mad? Yeah. Sometimes I clean real hard. Vacuum, dishes. All of the cobwebs in all of the corners are gone. Sometimes you can twist some fabric. If you can't do those other things and you just need to get that feeling out, a dishcloth, a sweater, twist it hard and use your whole body. It used to be we'd send someone out to fetch the water or chop the firewood, even if we didn't need a fire that day. Using our body can get that anger out so we can think with our brain again. Sometimes you can scream into a pillow or Lake Michigan, I've heard. Sometimes you can break something, and that can help. Today, we're going to practice something that helps get anger out called lion's pose. Has anyone done lion's pose before? Okay, some of us have, and some of us get to learn something new. Lion's pose can feel a little silly when you're doing it, and it can look a little silly too. So I promise I won't laugh at you, and it's okay if you laugh at me. So you're gonna start by opening your mouth, not a little, but a lot. And open your eyes big and wide. Flare your nose. Get your paws ready. Think about breathing deep into your belly, and we're gonna roar. We're not gonna roar up here or up here. We're gonna roar from our bellies. And now, the silly part, stick your tongue out as far as it can go. All right, one more. And if nothing else, the laughter helps move that anger through your body. And you can think, what is this anger telling me to do? All right. I invite the kids and religious education volunteers to join me in the RE Commons for Religious Education.
From the Reverend David Breeden, Gratitude Finds. An apple on the windowsill, a gentle rain in the night, a crow on a fence post, a child asleep on a bus. Gratitude finds the world a gift. The heart bows and a day begins again. Gratitude is a way of knowing, teaching the heart to create, to serve, and belong. We take a collection for the good work and ministry of this congregation during our service, in part as an act of gratitude. We get to be here doing this together, and then we get to help fund and help make happen all that will come afterward. This is a good thing. We also share a portion of our gifts with the community through our Share the Plate practice. Half of the undesignated plate goes to a local group doing good work here. For the month of November, our Share the Plate recipient is Lula and FP. Lula is an entirely volunteer-run outreach effort that provides food and temporary shelter, clothing, some real just essentials for our unhoused neighbors who are some of the most marginalized, some of the most at-risk population in our community. And they also pretty much all have experienced trauma, handle mental illness, certainly deal with health concerns. And the good folks with Lula just go out of their way to help and to do their best to provide a little bit of care, a measure of comfort, a chance for people to realize that they are not alone in systems that are so complicated. So I invite you to make a donation. You're welcome to be part of our Share the Plate. Make a donation for the congregation. Look in the QR code in the order of service. If you are using one of the pew envelopes, please be sure and are putting in cash in the envelope and it's for your pledge. Please be sure to indicate that it's a pledge and your name on it. We want to make sure to keep track of these things. And now I want to thank folks for all of the gifts. I know I'm looking forward to soup after service too, right? I mean, come on. So let me invite the ushers to please come forward. From Jan Richardson, the reading today is Tender Anger. As with any emotion, anger can be a map. Within the landscape of our life, the presence of anger reveals where our passions lie, whom we love, and what we consider important. Anger shows us where we are vulnerable, where there are cracks or wounds in our soul, where there is brokenness within us or around us. If we pay attention to what anger reveals about the terrain of our soul, it can help us find and create the path we need. Anger is also a messenger. It always has something to tell us about who we are and how we are connected to those around us. This is part of why anger can be so difficult and so complicated. It reminds us what matters to us. We rarely become angry about something or someone we do not care about. In her groundbreaking essay, The Power of Anger in the Work of Love, Beverly Waldung Harrison writes, "Anger is not the opposite of love. It is better understood as a feeling signal that all is not well in our relations to other persons or groups or to the world around us. Anger is a mode of connectedness to others and is always a vivid form of caring." She goes on to write, "When anger arises, the energy to act is present. The energy to act is present. When anger walks in and sits down at my table, I try to remember to ask, what is anger trying to tell me? What's the invitation here? What choice can I make that will lead me beyond feeling powerless? Is there a step I can take that will transform anger into action? For my own life, for the lives of those around me, and for the life of the world." Here ends the reading. Will you please rise in body or spirit and join me for hymn number 348 in the gray hymnal, "Guide My Feet." Please be seated. So as I begin the sermon, I want to invite us to create a little bit of this moment together. There's so many mixed messages, so many emotions around anger. So I want to invite you to let this be a moment to name what angers, what enrages, what really ticks us off. So help me, if you would, create a little shared moment of anger, recognizing that sorrow and fear are close companions with this. So if this is more than you can do, just pause and breathe. There's plenty in the room. I have faith. There's an act of faith, right? All right. What enrages you now? And I want to repeat it, so please be sure to speak up. What enrages you right now? Bureaucracy. Oh my gosh. Boy, there's a universal truth. It's bureaucracy. Okay, what else? All right. Note how careful I tend to be with speaking politics. Trump and his cabinet and the oligarchs. No more quiet piggy, if I may say. No. Ask me about that later if you don't know what that's about. I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. Chaos after chaos after chaos, COVID, and now this nonsense. Yes, thank you. Yes, Jean. The word unprecedented. Can we get a consensus on retiring the word unprecedented? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just yes. What else? What else? Let's take people cutting you off on the road when there's no need for it. There we go. I want to know what a need for it moment might be. But no, well, yes, people cutting you off in traffic. Thank you. Boy, the little things, right? What else? The words you should. Oh, we just don't want to be shoulding on ourselves and each other, shall we? People who, I'm sorry, what? People who think their opinion is always the right opinion. Thank you, Dave. Yes. Racism. So you all are going to places where I had some script here in case you were shy, and you all are going off in other directions. I love this. Thank you. Thank you. Misogyny, patriarchy, white supremacy. Let's just kind of have that list, shall we? Injustice. All right, let me add a couple. I'm sorry? Christmas decorations in October. Thank you. Honestly, Christmas decorations in September. Holy. Oh my gosh, who thought of that model? Wrong. Although I do like the fact that we still have Halloween lights up and there is no Christmas coming soon at my house. So I'm just saying. All right, let me add a couple here. I'm going to bet you know these. We are angry that children are afraid to go to school because of immigration, because of racism, because of violence. We are angry that our most vulnerable neighbors are frightened for their well-being, feared that they may be taken from the people they love, their daily lives, for being afraid to go outside thanks to racial profiling. We are angry that healthcare is impossibly expensive and deeply unjust, and that leaders sustain a worsening system. We are angry about the deaths of trans and gender expansive beloveds, the names of whom are being read around the world this week. We are angry about the cost of food, the cost of everything. We are angry that the wealthy keep becoming more so while we are here talking about buying ramen to fill the children's bellies. We are angry about an earth that may not be healthy enough for future generations. I'm sure there's more. There's so much with us and within us and around us. Given the upcoming holidays, it seemed like a good idea to unpack a little anger now before you get to the family gathering. This is a little equipping for the next couple of months. Let me invite you to consider, ponder, if you will. Where did you learn about anger when you were growing up? Where and how were the lessons around feelings, around emotions, around expression, particularly around anger? Where was that for you? Invite you to a little bit of reflection. Dad, yeah, dad. Oh, there's a lot of dad. But boy, I feel for the dads, right? Where'd they learn that? Generations, right? Generations of anger. What were the first and lasting lessons? I know for me, anger I associated with outburst, with violence, with having kept a lid on things so long that it just exploded out, with being out of control. So the daily lesson, nature and nurture, was more about being nice, getting along. In my case, good New England Yankee family, ladylike. I mean, they were trying. Conflict avoidance. There was not much place for anger. There's no place for anger. I know for many of us, anger can be internalized, if anything, as poet Marge Piercy says. A good anger acted upon is beautiful as lightning and swift with power. A good anger swallowed, clots the blood to slime. A good anger swallowed, clots the blood to slime. As much as I was raised with people who marched, who advocated, strong people, there's some strong people. Personal anger was kind of the null curriculum. There was the emergent voice of anger and white feminism. This was powerful. This was important. This was national. It was changing our world. And personal anger, not so much vocabulary and space. That's part of where I was coming from. I still find it a challenge to say, is that anger? Oh, look, that's anger. After all this time, I'm getting better at that, but it's taking time. It's also the case, based on gender, social location, race, and more, that some people had the liberty to express anger more than others. Does that sound true? Some people get to say, some people get to lash out, some people get to show up in anger in a way that others can't or won't or is a danger to them. So appreciate the children's story. There's a volcano in my tummy. And that might have been written for children, but boy, it's for everybody. It's kind of impressive. We haven't yet had a global catastrophe of anger blown up in the world, isn't it? How much is kind of probably repressed, suppressed, and depressed. It's also the case is that there's a lot of different kind of forms of anger, thank goodness. There's not just one vocabulary. Even if we've learned a primary language, there's many more. My colleague, the Reverend Sarah Smalley, kind of describes the ranges of the expression of anger. There's aggressive anger that lashes out, passive anger that internalizes and buries, and there's passive aggressive anger. Boy, we're really good in that one in our society, right? Passive aggressive anger, where one is outwardly agreeable, but shows anger through indirect action. It's where we have the conversation apart about intent versus impact. But then there's something called, she was calling it assertive anger. Assertive anger. something that is appropriately felt, managed, and communicated. Felt, managed, and communicated. Is experienced, recognized with thought, and then some decisions are made about how to proceed. The Black author Audre Lorde talks about this in her work. She talks about how Black women tend to be especially aware of the uses and perceptions of anger, how quickly a Black woman can be stereotyped and dismissed as angry when she is merely standing her ground. Audre Lorde unpacks the experience of anger and how it can be used in her essay, The Uses of Anger, Women Responding to Racism. Now, her understanding of anger and its impact is an entire other sermon series. But for now, I want to just include this as one to expand the diversity of voices, but to offer how she honestly and plainly addresses the value of anger and how essential it is to addressing racism. As Jan Richardson describes in the reading, anger helps locate what is important, what we value. She says, when anger walks into my life and sits down at the table, I try to remember to ask, what is anger trying to tell me? What's the invitation here? What choice can I make that will lead me beyond feeling powerless? Is there a step I can take that will transform anger into action for my own life, for the lives around me, and for the life of the world? As I was looking at models of anger, what I found particularly helpful was the reminder that anger is not a fixed state. It doesn't just show up and stay the same all the time. It has a cycle. It's got a trigger, negative thoughts, emotional, physical arousal, behavior response, and consequences. How I feel now isn't forever. And even when, and I say when, even when anger accumulates so it is always there, when it is always there, it still isn't in the same state all the time. And so, in the ebb and flow of the experience of anger, we can ask what Jan Richardson points out, what choice can I make that will lead me beyond feeling powerless, lead me beyond feeling trapped in a particular state of feeling? How can I transform anger into action? My Universalist colleague, the Reverend Doug Taylor, talks about this, that perhaps we can amplify the potential for movement and action and management by combining values and emotions. He says, we need to pair up and even triple up our values so they can balance each other. So when you pair up your anger with compassion, you can move forward. To have compassion toward those with whom you are angry does not mean the anger goes away. This is not magic. This is not pushing aside. This is not calm down. It means you can do something with it rather than allow it to sit and fester. So we can pair anger with love, anger with compassion, anger and democracy, anger and inherent worth of all people, anger and freedom, anger and growing in body, mind, and spirit. Have it deployed into a righteous anger, perhaps. One of my favorite models for this, I was thinking about stories about anger. This is where my vocabulary is still developing. What story am I going to tell about anger? Ooh, Jesus. Let's talk about Jesus. And flipping tables in the temple. That one sticks. That one has endured. From the book of Mark, chapter 11. On reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple area and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. and would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. As he taught them, he said, "It is not written. Is it not written, my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations? My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you have made it a den of robbers, a den of thieves." Jesus had gone to the temple to pray, probably to make a sacrifice and observant of practice and of part of the practice of how one engages in relationship with the holy. And so when he arrived there, instead of a way to do that with thoughtfulness and care, he found exploitation. He found exploitation and usury of the poor, of pilgrims. He found greed from those who controlled access to the temple and therefore access to religion, access to faith. As we are on the cusp of Advent and awaiting the birth of the baby Jesus, we are also preparing for the temple flipping teacher. We are also preparing for the table flipping teacher, the temple flipping teacher. I kind of like that too. The kind shepherd who is ticked off. The loving pastor also contains rage against the machine, against empire, against capitalism, against exploitation of the people, exploitation of the earth itself. Every year I have to rethink and think again about what is the narrative about Christmas and wonder, what would Jesus do? I think he'd be fighting for SNAP benefits. He'd be showing up and offering spiritual care to those in detention centers, much like religious leaders offered a week ago in Chicago and were arrested and harassed for their trouble. Jesus would be calling on ICE agents to choose their humanity instead of putting children in zip ties. He would be calling out moral injury and calling us to moral imagination. Something to note about how important this table flipping moment is. While the story of Jesus' birth, the star, the shepherds, the angels, which I love every year, that story is pretty much in the book of Luke. Jesus in the temple is in all the Gospels. It's in all of them. They wanted it to stick. Progressive Christian minister Reverend Sue Kaler Arsenault asks, "What do we do with an angry Jesus?" She writes, "It would be so much simpler to follow the Jesus who is simply nice to everyone, who never questions economic, political, or religious systems. We are perfectly happy to accept Jesus as our shepherd, but we are far more uncomfortable when he has a whip in his hands and he overturns the tables. It's not comfortable." And it comes to mind also that we have this current increase in Christian nationalism, which is also about this powerful expression and is more has the muscular, masculine warrior Jesus. That's not this moment either. That's not the Jesus of the gospel. It's not the Jesus of the temple. It is anger, yes. It is power, yes. And it is deployed for the sake of justice and love and compassion. Reverend Kaler Arsenault continues. But if there was ever a time we needed this Jesus, this angry Jesus, it is now. Where is our anger at an economic system that does not provide a living wage to full-time workers? Where is our anger at gerrymandered political maps that systematically disenfranchise Black voters? Where is our anger at fossil fuel suppliers who have long known their impacts on the climate? Where is our anger at governments that target and fund the mass murder of civilians, of children, in Ukraine, in Gaza? Where is our anger at religious systems that exclude and judge and demonize people because of their gender, their race, their sexual orientation, or their religion? Where? Where is our anger? If we shut down anger at injustice, if we shut down our anger when boundaries are violated, we diminish the prophetic divine spark within our hearts that can empower us to take action for good. Where is our anger? You feel it? Is it powering? Is it empowering? There is power there. There is power to love. There is power to act, power to make a difference. Bring anger with all that we find is important and essential, and it lets us move forward. If I may, the congregation just approved 4 social impact projects. If you need someplace to take that feeling, there are places. I will also say, I want to recognize and appreciate how Jesse brought out the physical and the feeling. I can offer something. These are crocheted bricks because Stonewall was a riot. And these can be thrown at anything. If you're needing a way, I have a ritual and a way. And it's not just about bricks, but these are good. I'm just saying. My colleagues and I were throwing these last week. It helped. There are so many ways to meet the moment of all that we are feeling, of all that we are harboring, of all that we are pushing down and don't know what to do with in our lives. Do not dismiss or set aside or say there is no place for anger. It has to be here because it is with us because we are human. When we let it, it can be so powerful. Let us draw on its power and our power to keep caring, to keep striving, to keep hoping, to bring fierceness to what we love and put that love into action in our close circles, in our neighbors, in our neighborhoods, and in our world. Let us claim that powerful force and move forward. Try to add that to a more healed and whole world. Amen. I invite you to rise in body or spirit with me for our closing hymn, number 170. We are a gentle, angry people. We have 6 verses.
This is the work of James Galasinski, and it's called Faith Like a Light. Our faith, like a light, illuminates the path before us so that we can face hurt with love, cultivate compassion, live humbly in community, and confront despair with the awe of life. Though our flame is extinguished, our faith shines bright before us. Thank you.
Required of us by the Reverend Kendall Gibbons. There is finally only one thing required of us. That is to take life whole, the sunlight and the shadows together, to live the life that is given us with courage and humor and truth. We have such a little moment out of the vastness of time for all our wondering and our loving, and therefore let there be no half-heartedness. Rather, let the soul be ardent in its pain, in its yearning, in its praise. Then shall peace enfold our days and glory not fade from our lives. Our worship is ended. Let our service begin.
How